You how the heck you doing? This is Corey with Watcher of Realms. I'm going to be honest. So I've been thinking for a really long time how I wanted to go ahead and make this video without it just be me complaining or being negative. Because truth be told, there's a lot of people that are just like easily articulating like their thoughts about this in a negative way, and I wanted to try to do something a little bit different. So here's what I came up with. Right. So it's going to answer this question. Lady Alexandria, because obviously we know that she is a incredibly strong unit, and secondarily, we also know that she is basically gated by a piece of content which is Arena. So first and foremost, right, if we were to go ahead and look at Arena specifically, you go ahead and you unlock her after you go ahead and get 40,000 Apex coins, right? And then you get her soul stone around 50k, and then they are currently selling her artifact for about 12k. Now, the issue with this that we all know is that it is very hard to go ahead and accumulate these coins in a reasonable manner. And then in addition to that, just the concept of accumulating the coins requires you to have a Yovar, a Valdron, an Ingrid Praetus, just some of those really key Apex, when I say Apex, I literally mean it in the correct sense of very good top of the line lords in order to compete in Arena, to get to Apex Arena, to get the coins that you need in a faster time period to get the unit, right? So now that that is out of the way, obviously I want to just establish Arena does need its personal fixing. It does need to be addressed in some way, shape, or form. However, the purpose of this video isn't to go ahead and harp on Moonton in regards to this, because that's a separate issue as far as I'm concerned. So if we were to go back, right, the reason why Lady Alexandra is so good is because she has the ability to basically cross-map units, and just in general, she does a substantial amount of damage as a unit. So here's what I propose, because I don't want to just be negative, because I'm tired of seeing negativity, right? I propose that Lady Alexandra should be the anniversary fusion. Now, we haven't had a fusion in a very long time when it comes to Watcher of Realms. It has been a multitude of months, and I believe the last fusion that we had that was somewhat relevant was maybe Crodor. It's been a long time since we had a good fusion in general, even a fragment summon. We haven't really had anything that useful. So here's the benefits of making Lady Alexandra a fusion event for the anniversary. The first thing is we are able to go ahead and acquire her. However, the main thing is when it comes to a fusion, not everyone is able to acquire the unit. Sometimes people aren't playing long enough for things like this, but it really rewards the players that are actively playing the game, and it doesn't negatively hurt the other players that have Lady Alexandra already. Reason being is because while new players that don't have Lady Alexandra are able to obtain a copy of her, the older players that already have her due to Arena prevalence and being really good at Arena, they are basically getting a free soul stone as a result, right? Because once you go ahead and get a unit, you can go ahead and crunch the unit to turn it into an awakening. So everyone that already has her is basically getting a copy of her for essentially free due to their participation in the fusion event. So they're also winning. And in the event that they already have an A5 Alexandria, if they're choosing to go ahead and use the reset book or anything for that matter, they have the ability to do so. It does not negatively impact them. In addition to that, having a Lady Alexandra as a fusion event does narrow some of the gap in terms of the content that we're starting to see within the game, right? Now, as you can see, if you're playing the game actively, Lady Alexandra has a very noticeable position in the game for PvE content and even PvP. So obviously with Arena, she's incredibly relevant for anti-air. However, the main thing as to why she's good with anti-air is because of Yovar, right? So Yovar is the one that goes ahead and activates her to be super relevant in Arena as of this point. And then when we translate this over to Guild v Guild, it is Praetus is the one that's going ahead and activating her. So it's not a negative thing to go ahead and consider making her a fusion event where other players can go ahead and achieve going ahead and getting her. And mind you, they're only getting one copy of her, right? So the process of going ahead and getting her awakened is also going to be requiring people to make a decision as to whether they're going to go ahead and use soul stones for her or they're just going to leave her a 0. So there is still that gap between those who are at the very top echelon of Arena, and then there's still the ability for other players to go ahead and acquire her to use her for those PvP or PvE purposes, which she is kind of becoming, I would dare say meta or hyper relevant, hyper required to go ahead and obtain. And then in another vein, right, by going ahead and making her a anniversary fusion or just making her a fusion within the near future, the benefit is this, right? You're going to get a substantial amount of player engagement as well, just because she's such a sought after unit, just because of her ability to help progress in very, very late game content. Now, once again, I'm not trying to advocate for the changing of Arena because as it stands, I'm not dumb. I understand how development works. Going ahead and fundamentally changing Arena requires a multitude of things and multitude of checks. However, doing a fusion event for a unit is not necessarily as difficult when it comes to the game developers being able to go ahead and design it just to, okay, you go ahead and do your Brave Conquest, bam, here's 5 shards. Or, okay, you go ahead and do Corridor of Glory, there you go, 10 shards. Things like this to go ahead and kind of boost morale. Because truth be told, whenever you go ahead and you discuss Lady Alexandria, there's 2 camps. The camps of, I hate this unit, I'll never go ahead and get her because of Arena. And then there's the other camp where it's like just silence, right? So to go ahead and mitigate this, I strongly suggest go ahead, make her a fusion event. People will be interested. That's all there is to it. See ya.